Let's look at basic characteristics of cognitive psychology. The first major thing here is focus on how individuals process information. That is the basic premise of cognitive psychology. How do individuals process information? They get information from multiple sources and in multiple ways. How do they process it? How do they learn that information and make it their own? Second, there is an emphasis on memory because a lot of information must be memorized. A lot must be, not all. And what must be memorized is important. And when we talk of memory, we are talking of storage. How does the brain store all that information? We talk about retrieval. How do we retrieve? How do we get information? How do we recall information when we need it? And finally, what are the types of memory? Memory can be of different types, and there are actually 3 different types of memory, which we will see in a little while. But let's focus on storage and retrieval. How does the brain store information and how does it recall information? Now, there are 2 basic premises for this. One is chunking. When the brain receives bits of information in small chunks, in small doses, in small pieces, it is easier for the brain to give way and put that information in the right place where it belongs. When we overdo it, when we oversupply information to the brain, it bogs down. It takes time to sort out all the different information and send it to the right places. And brain research today shows us that when you do teaching in small chunks, it is much better for the students. In other words, a 40-minute class is better than a 1-hour 30-minute class because information goes to the brain in small chunks. It is sorted by the brain conveniently. It goes to the right place in the brain and therefore is easy to recall or retrieve. Information that has not got into the right part of the brain and settled there is difficult to recall. Information that has made it to the right part of the brain is easy to recall. And of course, review plays a major role in determining how efficiently information will be recalled. When you practice, when you review, information comes and is put back, information comes and is put back, and so recall becomes easier. Something that you've hardly used or never used tends to die out, becomes difficult to recall, and therefore reviewing every so often is important. Reviewing every so often is something that teachers should be doing. Don't just assume that because you taught something in August and forgot about it, the students will remember it in May. If you did not review it, if you did not give brain the opportunity and the chances to practice it, to get it out, and to put it back where it belongs, recall tends to be difficult. So successful learners transfer information to long-term memory. Long-term memory has infinite capacity. That is the 3rd type of memory. If your information reaches long-term memory, you are safe. It's infinitely stored. But what about the other 2 types of memory? Here we go. On the left, you will see sensory registers. Those are your 5 senses. You receive information through all 5 senses, and they make their way into short-term memory. So sensory memory is just for a few seconds. You just get it and it's lost. If you do nothing with it, it will be lost. The next step is getting it to short-term memory. And short-term memory, if metacognition comes into play, if you do it in small chunks, if it's reasonably well done, it will stay in short-term memory. If not, it will be lost. Data is lost from short-term memory. If you don't review it, if you don't use it, it will get lost. When information is in short-term memory for a certain span of time, it eventually will move into long-term memory. And when for retrieval or recall you need information, it comes back from long-term memory into short-term memory. You use it and it will go back into long-term memory. That is why you have arrows going in both directions between long-term and short-term memory. All other arrows go only in one direction. Help your students get their information into long-term memory.